Hey everyone, it's time for Saturday Stories with Miss Sharon. Happy Saturday! Last week we read a story from our Laugh and Learn Bible for Kids. We read the story about Jesus being baptized by John the Baptist. Did you and your family have a chance to talk about baptism? When I was baptized, I was in elementary school. I went to a different church when I was a little girl, and I was dunked in a tub in the sanctuary. It was a pretty awesome day. I remember it very well. Can't wait to talk about the day you're going to be baptized, maybe when you're in 6th grade in confirmation. Today's story is called The Desert Temptation. Let's listen and find out what happens. After Jesus was baptized, he did something unusual. The crowd around John the Baptist was very excited. They had seen the Holy Spirit appear like a dove and heard the voice of God calling Jesus his son. Maybe the Messiah, the one who would save Israel and bless the whole world, was finally here. It was the perfect time for Jesus to say, "Okay, everybody, follow me. I am the Messiah." But he didn't do that. Instead, Jesus walked off into the wilderness all by himself. He left the crowds behind and went out into the wildest parts of Israel to be alone. You see, Jesus knew what was coming. He knew that being the Messiah, that saving Israel and blessing the world was going to be very, very hard. And he knew he couldn't do it unless he was very close to God, his Father. So Jesus went off to spend some time with his dad. For 40 days, Jesus stayed in the wilderness. He didn't eat any food. He spent all of his time talking with God, his Father. At the end of the 40 days, Jesus and his dad were very, very close. But also, he was very, very hungry. And then Jesus had a visitor. Do you know who it was? It was that sneaky snake, God's enemy, the one that had lied to Adam and Eve way back at the beginning so that sin would ruin God's world. God's enemy knew Jesus was hungry. He knew the big things that Jesus had to do would be hard. God's enemy showed up to tempt Jesus with things that would make his life easier. "If you are really God's son," the enemy said, "why don't you just turn these rocks into bread? Then you can eat." "No," Jesus said, "I don't live by bread. I live by the words that come from my Father." Then the enemy took Jesus to the highest place in Jerusalem, to the very top of a temple. "Jump off," he said. "God will send angels to save you, and then everyone will be impressed, and they'll want to follow you." But Jesus replied, "That is not God's plan. Don't test God with tricks." Finally, the enemy took Jesus to the top of a high mountain, and Jesus could see all the kingdoms of the world. "Do you want to rule all these kingdoms?" the enemy asked. "I can make that happen. All you have to do is bow down and worship me." What should Jesus do? God wanted Jesus to be a new kind of a king, a blessing for the whole world. Jesus knew that God's plan was going to be very hard, and God's enemy said he could make it easy. Wouldn't that be better? But Jesus knew that he was talking to a liar. "I will only bow to God," Jesus yelled. "Leave me now." And the enemy left. He had tried to best and fool Jesus, but the same way he had fooled Adam and Eve many years before. But Jesus was too close to God, his Father, and being close to his Father made Jesus strong. God took care of Jesus because he was God's son, and God loved him very much. And now it was time to save the world. So here are some things you can talk to your family about today. How should we respond when we're tempted by God's enemy? Now, in this story, the author is using a sneaky snake to represent the enemy, the devil. But in real life, we can be tempted by people to make wrong choices. We can be tempted by ourselves to do something we're not supposed to do, like not tell the truth or not follow our parents' instructions. Have you ever been tempted by someone before? Have you ever just made a wrong decision by yourself before? God will forgive you if you ask, and you're really going to have to try to do better after that. So talk today with your family about how you could respond when you're feeling tempted. Maybe your parents have a story that they could share with you. But today, remember to thank God for giving you the power to resist those temptations and choose God's way. I'll see you next Saturday.